In this video, I'm going to show you how we can use AI to actually scrape any website and get any information that we need from those websites. So typically, when we are scraping websites, we get all the content from this website, and then we have to go and process that and extract the actual information that we want. Now, with this workflow, we're going to actually be able to scrape the website and find just the particular sets of information that we actually want. And then we can also ask the AI to then give us some more information and draw some more conclusions for us that is not actually on the website. So what I've done here is I've run the workflow to actually get the iPhone prices, the iPhone here, and then the price of the iPhone. And I've simply fed in the URL here for Apple's iPhone page. And you can see it's gone down here and pulled the name of each of these iPhones and then the price of them. So pretty cool. We don't actually get all of the information from this website back, which is very helpful if we just want a particular set of information. You can see here it gave me the company name and then a list of their iPhone products and then their prices as well. So this can also be useful if we are doing something like scraping leads. We can scrape the lead's name, contact information, website maybe, and then we can also ask the AI to actually then go ahead and generate more information as well, such as an email starter, maybe a hook for an email, something like that is not actually on their website, but the AI can go ahead and use information from their website to go ahead and generate these other variables as well. So to get started, we are going to head over to n8n, and I'll show you how to download this workflow for completely free and then set up your accounts, and so you can start using this and exploring this concept yourself. So we're going to head over to n8n. You're going to need an account here. So once you create an account and log in, you'll be brought to your overview page. Overview page will look like this, and then we can go up to the top right and we're going to create a new workflow. So inside of this workflow, we have an empty editor here, and like I mentioned earlier, go down to the link in the description and you can download this template for completely free. It will download in the form of a JSON file. Once we have that JSON file, we can go up to the top right and select these three dots, and then select import from file and just select that JSON file that you just downloaded. So once you've got that JSON file inside of your n8n account here, I'm going to start walking you through what this workflow is actually doing, and then I'll show you how to set it up so you can start using it. So I have a couple notes here to help you get started. I have some links to their documentation. We are using a platform called Firecrawl, which I've actually used some of their tools before, but they have a extract function here, and like I said, it uses the extract function. We can extract structured data from pages using LLMs. So you're essentially combining a web scraper with a large language model, and this opens up a lot of possibilities that we can now take advantage of using this tool. So I've linked the documentation here, and I'll start here on the left side where we are first sending the initial request to Firecrawl. So all of this will be filled in for you. The only thing you have to do is get your API key here. So to do that, we're going to look up firecrawl.dev. This is their page here. You can create an account. That's entirely free. Again, that will take you to your overview page, and then they make it really easy for us over here on the right side. We can just copy the API key, and then you can paste that in here. So I'll have something like insert API key right there. You just need bare space and then your API key right there. And then one thing I do recommend is if you plan to use Firecrawl in the future is to go to this authentication section here. We select the drop down and then select the generic credential type. We can then go down and select the header auth. You can see that here's what we're sending by default, and we can actually save this credential inside of n8n. So you can see we can add a new credential. So select the drop down, create new credential, and then the name is going to be authorization. And then the API key, or the value here, is going to be bearer space, and then our API key right there. And then we can rename this. So you want to rename this Firecrawl, and then you can click save. So I've already done that. I'm going to close out of that. And then what that looks like is we can just select Firecrawl right here, and then we can scroll down and turn off send headers. So you'll want to do either one of these. These are doing the exact same thing. This authentication just allows us to actually save our credentials. So if we're using this in the future, we can just come down and select Firecrawl right there. So either one of these, but don't send both. So I'm going to turn off send headers. I'll leave that on in the template. So if you want to save that, follow the steps that I just outlined right there. But I'm going to turn that off for now. And then we can come down to the body. So the body I've gotten from their documentation page. You can kind of look through that. I've listed their both documentation where we are sending the extract here, and then they also have another page for the endpoint, I believe, on the left side here. You can kind of look through this, but I'll explain what both of those are doing in just a second. But inside of this body, you can send multiple URLs. So if you want to send multiple URLs, you have this first URL that I'm going to leave in the side of the template, and if you want to add another one, you're going to use JSON to format this. So to do that, you're going to type a comma, hit enter, and then you can add other URLs here at the bottom. So that could look something like this, and then close the URL inside of quotations here. So if you're listing more than one, you need a comma to separate them, and then the last one does not need a comma, so it should look like this. So I'm going to delete this, and then since I did that, I need to remove the comma, as this is the last URL. And then another thing I want to point out is that this asterisk here at the end, usually the URL looks like this. So if I go to Apple's page here, go to iPhones, you can see their URL just looks like this. But using this tool, we can actually add a star here at the end, and that allows their extract function to actually look down multiple layers of web pages. So if I go back to their page here, while it's scraping this one website that I actually gave it, it could then click on other URLs that are actually on this page. So it can continue to crawl down different layers of web pages to find any information that I'm asking for. So that's a very easy, nice feature to have. Just right there, all we have to do is just add this star to the end of the URL, and it can continue down multiple layers of web pages. So again, it can click there and then look on that page as well. So the next thing we have is the prompt. This is again unique to their extract function, where we can actually prompt a large language model to get specific information from their page. So you can see in this example, I'm saying I want the company name, specific products, and the prices for those products. And at the end here, when it actually gets that information for me, you can see it sends back the company name, which is Apple, and then the prices and the products for those corresponding prices. So that we can specify in here, just using a simple prompt as if we would do for something like ChatGPT. And then below that, we have the schema that we are sending, and we are in this case getting the company name, which we want back as a string, and then we are getting the products and prices, which I decided to specify as an array. And this is going to be specific formatted for arrays. So if you're not familiar with arrays, it is essentially a group of particular objects. I'll go over that really quickly. So in coding, we have different variable types. A couple examples are a Boolean, which is a true or false value, a float, which is a decimal value, character, which is just any single character on your keyboard but an individual character, string, which is going to be surrounded by quotations, and that can be anything. It can be text, characters, like special characters, so dollar signs, percentage signs, numbers as well. Anything can go inside of a string, but it is a string integer, which is going to be a non-decimal place number. So that can be a giant number, but with no decimal places. And then that basically is all of the basic variables inside of coding. And then we have an array. So an array is basically a group of any one of these. So we can have an array of floats, we can have an array of integers, we can have an array of strings or booleans. And that's basically just a long group of individual variables. So we could have 5 booleans inside of an array. So right here I'm saying I want an array, so just a group of strings, and I want that group of strings to represent the products and the prices. Then here at the bottom we are just saying that I need all of these back. So if you have something that you want scraped but a company might not have it, you cannot add that to the list of required variables that you need back, or a piece of information that you need back. So in this case I wanted everything back, and I wanted the company name and the products and prices. So if I had a piece of information that I was like, okay, it'd be nice to have, but I know some companies won't actually have that, then you can leave that out of this required section here at the bottom. And again, we are formatting this in JSON, so we need to use a comma here. That essentially does it for the JSON body that we're actually sending the request through. And if you need help formatting this, you can just paste this into ChatGPT and get help from there. But as you did see, we do get errors. You can see it gives us a red dot there. So that just means there's something wrong, and you should probably fix that. That covers it for the request part. And what we're doing here is we are actually sending a request to Firecrawl to scrape that information. So after we send that request, it then takes a minute to actually get that information for us. So we have to just wait a little bit, and we can keep checking back with Firecrawl to see if it's done. So we're going to wait over here, and it's going to kind of cycle through, and it's just going to keep checking with Firecrawl right here, and just saying like, hey, is this updated? Do we have the information back yet? And if it's not, then we're going to just wait a little bit longer. And then once we do have that information, it's going to route down true. And then we can do whatever we need after that with that information. So this edit fields node here, we are just saving that request ID, which we get back from the request here. So when we send that request off, we said, okay, we received back it's successful, meaning that Firecrawl actually received the request for the information that we want. Then we receive a request ID. And that is just used so we can then check in with Firecrawl later, and we can get our actual request back. So this is just an identifier for the individual request that we are sending off. So we're saving that inside of a variable right there. And then the next step is we are just going to give it like 10 seconds to wait, and then for the information to be extracted from the website and then sent back to us. So here we are then checking to the URL, and that is what is known as the endpoint here. So we're sending a request off to this URL, and while that's being processed, after that's processed, we then need to get that information back from Firecrawl through this request. So this is going to be a post or a GET request, as we are just getting that information back. And you can see the URL right here. And then that is why I set another variable for the ID. So that ID right there, you can see that in the edit fields. So we're sending in that request ID at the end of the URL to just say, hey, we need this request information back. And then you can see the same set of parameters here, the header where we're sending in that authorization. And again, we can change the authentication up here to generic, go down to header, and then just select Firecrawl right there, and then we can remove this section here. So I'm going to leave that just for the sake of having it in the template. So I'm going to switch this back to none, but you can have either one of those, don't have both, but that is just an easy way to save that. So if you're setting this up, you will have to paste in your API key twice here if you're not saving it. So that's all we need for this step, and like I just explained, it's going to continuously loop through, and you can see that here. So we're checking the status. So whenever we get this request back from Firecrawl, you can see we have a value called status, and once we actually receive it back, it's going to say completed. If it's not completed, I think it will say something like processing or something like that. So in this step, what we are doing is we are just checking if status is equal to completed. That means we've got the information back from Firecrawl and we can continue down another path. If it's not completed, it'll be still processing, and then we can go down false, which just routes around and waits another 10 seconds and then checks again. So we're just repeating that process. This is what is known as polling, when we are just continually checking to see if our request has actually been completed, and then we can continue with our workflow there. So I think that essentially covers it. Not too complicated. We only need the API key, which is very nice, and then you can edit this initial request right here, and then you shouldn't need anything else to edit later besides just connecting your account again here, so the API key, or just doing the authentication right there. So that pretty much does it. I know I mentioned earlier that there are a lot of different use cases for this workflow and this Firecrawl extract tool here. So if you come up with a unique or just a cool way that you're using this tool, drop a comment below kind of explaining how you're using it. I mentioned using it to extract lead information, and then you can enrich the leads as well just using this LLM prompt inside of the tool. I used it to scrape company products, so you could use it to monitor prices, something like that, as well as maybe stock changes. There's a lot of different use cases for it, so I'm interested to see what you guys come up with. If you do have any questions though, setting this up, drop a comment below, and if you did get anything from this video, leave a like and subscribe, and I will see you all in the next video. Have a good one.